Hello everyone! Welcome back to another episode of Intermediate Podcast Series, where we dive deep into language learning, cultural exploration, and everything in between. I'm Sophia, your go-to guide for all things language.
And I'm Sebastian, here to help bridge the gap between languages and cultures. Today, we have an exciting episode lined up, one that's especially important for anyone who loves to travel, meet new people, or just wants to understand the world a little better.
That's right. We're discussing cultural differences, how customs, traditions, and etiquette vary around the world. Ever been unsure whether to shake hands, bow, or give a hug? Ever wondered if you should tip in a foreign country? Stick around because we're about to dive into all of that and more.
Plus, we'll be giving you a vocabulary boost with 5 key words you can use when talking about culture. And make sure you stay till the end, because we've got a grammar lesson lined up that's going to make you sound like a pro when discussing these topics.
We promise, by the end of this episode, you'll not only be more culturally aware, but you'll also have the tools to talk about these differences in English with confidence. So grab your notebook, grab your coffee, and let's get into it.
Let's kick off with the idea of customs. These are the everyday things that people in different cultures do without even thinking about it. For example, in Japan, it's customary to take off your shoes before entering someone's home. Meanwhile, in the United States, keeping your shoes on indoors is totally normal.
Exactly. Another example is greeting customs. In many Latin American countries, a cheek kiss or two is a common greeting. But if you tried that in some parts of Northern Europe, it might be considered a bit too much.
And speaking of greetings, let's talk about a word that's perfect for this discussion. Our first vocabulary word of the day, etiquette, which means the customary code of polite behavior in society or among members of a particular group. Example: it's important to learn the etiquette of a country before visiting, so you don't accidentally offend anyone.
Etiquette is huge when it comes to understanding different cultures. For instance, tipping is considered good etiquette in the US, but in countries like Japan, tipping can actually be seen as rude. Crazy, right?
It's these little nuances that make culture so fascinating, and sometimes tricky. Now, our second vocabulary word that will help you talk about these differences is tradition. It means a long-established custom or belief passed down from generation to generation. Example: the New Year's Eve fireworks are a tradition in many cultures around the world.
Traditions can range from big celebrations like festivals to small practices, like having a specific family dinner every Sunday. And every culture has its own set of traditions that make it unique.
Exactly. Like how in Spain, they have the tradition of eating 12 grapes at midnight on New Year's Eve for good luck. Or how in India, the Diwali festival is a celebration of light overcoming darkness.
These customs and traditions help us understand and appreciate the richness of different cultures. But what happens when we don't follow these rules, Sebastian?
Well, that's where cultural misunderstandings come into play. And trust me, they can get awkward if you're not careful. Let's talk about our third vocabulary word, gesture. Definition: a movement of the body, especially the hands, that expresses an idea or meaning. Example: in some cultures, a thumbs-up gesture is positive, but in others, it could be offensive.
Gestures are such a good example of how easily we can misunderstand cultural norms. What might seem friendly in one culture could be rude in another. For instance, giving someone a thumbs up is a great gesture in the US, but in parts of the Middle East, it's actually offensive.
And let's not forget about body language. In some countries, making direct eye contact is a sign of confidence and honesty, while in others, it might come off as aggressive or disrespectful. So knowing the etiquette for gestures can really save you from an awkward situation.
Now this brings us to our fourth word, one that's super important when discussing culture: respect. Definition: a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something, often due to their qualities or achievements. Example: showing respect for different cultures means learning about their customs and traditions.
Respect is at the core of understanding cultural differences. When you travel or interact with people from different backgrounds, showing respect by learning their customs and traditions is key.
And that's a big part of what we're trying to encourage today: cultural understanding through respect. And this leads us to our final word, which really ties everything together: diversity. Definition: The state of having people who are different races or who have different cultures in a group or organization. Example: cultural diversity makes the world an interesting place to live with a variety of traditions and customs.
Diversity is what makes the world such a vibrant place. Different perspectives, experiences, and traditions all contribute to the richness of life.
Absolutely. So whether you're traveling abroad, working with people from different backgrounds, or just curious about the world, understanding diversity is essential. And now, to help you sound like a pro when discussing these cultural differences, we've got a quick grammar lesson for you.
When comparing customs, traditions, or etiquette in different cultures, one of the most useful grammar tools you can use is comparative and superlative adjectives.
Exactly. For example, when comparing two cultures, you might say something like, "In the US, tipping is more common than in Japan," or "Greetings are friendlier in Brazil than in Germany."
And when discussing the extremes, you can use superlatives. Thailand has some of the most beautiful temples in the world, or Italy has the best food in Europe.
Let's give you a little quiz. What's the comparative form of polite? Think about it. It's more polite, right?
And what's the superlative form? Yep, you guessed it. Most polite.
So when discussing cultural etiquette, these adjectives will come in handy. For example, you might say, "In some cultures, people are more formal during business meetings than in others." Easy, right?
All right, that's it for today's episode, folks. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into cultural differences, customs, and etiquette from around the world.
Remember, understanding different cultures can open doors to amazing experiences. And knowing how to talk about these differences in English will give you the confidence to engage with people from all over the globe.
Don't forget to use those 5 vocabulary words: etiquette, tradition, gesture, respect, and diversity in your conversations. And practice using comparatives and superlatives to make your discussions even more engaging.
If you loved this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who might find it useful. We've got plenty more topics to cover in future episodes, so you definitely want to stay tuned.
And until next time, remember, language isn't just about words, it's the key to unlocking new perspectives and experiences. Each phrase, each sentence carries the essence of culture, emotion, and history. Through language, we connect, we grow, and we discover the beauty and diversity. So as you move forward, don't just speak, listen deeply, and embrace the nuances of every conversation. Let language be your guide to understanding not just others, but yourself as well. See you next time, fellow explorers of words.
Bye for now, but remember, every goodbye is just the start of a new journey. Until we meet again, take with you all the knowledge and insights we've shared. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and let curiosity lead you forward. Don't be afraid to dive into the unknown, because that's where the magic happens. I'll be waiting for our next adventure together.